Hello and welcome back to the Film Society. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Chloe.
And this week we're doing crime movies for the second half of our show. But for the first half, as we always do, we're going to get into what we're currently watching, just riff about some movies that we like, and then we move on to our genre of the week. Chloe, would you like to start with what movie you watched this week?
One of the movies that I watched this week is called The End of Watch, and it's directed by David Ayer. It came out in 2012 and is currently on Netflix. The movie follows two police officers, Brian Taylor, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and Mike Zavala, played by Michael Pena. The two officers get marked for death when they take guns and money from a local well-known cartel during a traffic stop. The friendship and respect that the officers have for each other is what makes them a great team throughout the turmoils that they face throughout the film.
I had a question, and I don't remember what it was.
I didn't want to go too much because more of the turmoil. Well, I guess it came out a while ago. If you want me to go into it.
Yeah, if it came out a while ago, you can spoil.
Yeah, so they end up getting marked for death, and
What does that mean, marked for death?
I didn't know a better way to describe it personally, so I said marked for death because this local cartel, they took their guns and money, and they're like, oh, they're dead to us.
So they put out a hit on these guys, is what you're saying. Okay.
Like, they wanted to send a message saying that, like, hey, the cops can't do this to us.
Oh, okay.
So it was like them trying to send a message by, I guess, like you said, mark them for death or have a hit on them.
Yep, I understand. So it's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Michael Pena.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Do you know Luis from Ant-Man?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That is him.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that obviously isn't his greatest role, but is his most well-known.
Well-known, yeah.
Yeah.
We all know who Jake Gyllenhaal is.
Yeah, but, I don't know, the ending was actually pretty sad. I was like, oh.
Oh.
Yeah. And then...
Without spoiling, obviously.
Spoiling, yeah. It is the end of Watch.
That's true.
No, I literally was watching it, and then I was like, oh, that's why it's called the end of Watch.
It is the end of Watch.
I literally said that to myself, too. I was like...
You would.
It's like, wow, the end.
So what genre would you classify this movie? Is it like a crime? Is it a thriller?
Yeah, it's definitely a crime movie.
Okay.
I think it has thriller elements as, they have the hit put on them as they're trying to, escape them because they have no backup during this time. Like,
So
they have no, like, cell signal, nothing. Like, when they, come out of nowhere and try to kill them. So they were, like, trapped. They were getting no help, which, sucks. Yeah, I would say the ending when more of this takes place is more thrilling, but it's more of just them, just on the job, doing crime. I mean, it has both of them. They're hilarious. So, they're joking in the car rides and stuff.
I like it. And where is this available?
It is available on Netflix.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So for me this week, I wanted a little bit of a palate cleanser from last week and all the horror we watched. I watched one of my favorite movies in the world, which is The Sandlot. So The Sandlot was directed by David Mikey Evans, and it came out in April of 1993. It stars Tom Geary, Mike Vitar, Patrick Renna, and a lot of other kids. So the story of The Sandlot is Scotty Smalls, played by Tom Geary, moves to a new neighborhood with his mom and his stepdad, and he's trying to make friends. He arrives just sort of at the beginning of summer, so he barely has any time in school to make friends. So now it's summer and he doesn't know anyone in his new town, and he gets taken under the wing of Benny Rodriguez, played by Mike Vitar, who is this baseball prodigy. Like, he's just insanely good, and him and all his friends go out to the Sandlot, which is basically just like an abandoned lot where they've set up a baseball diamond, and they go and they play baseball every day of summer. That's the only thing they do, is they go out and they play baseball, and they sort of welcome Smalls into their group of friends, and they teach him how to play baseball even though he doesn't know, and they, really befriend this kid, and you get to watch their summer and all their, like, little adventures that they go on.
Definitely
and so
use a palate cleanser from last
It's a palate
week.
cleanser, and it's just one of those, like, heartwarming movies that I go back to all the time. Mm-hmm. I love baseball. It's kind of one of the only sports I really enjoy because it makes sense. Like, the rules are really straightforward. You can explain offsides to me 100 times in soccer, and I will never understand it. I don't get it. All I knew was that when I played soccer, I was always getting yelled at because I was offsides. And then I'd go, where is that? And they'd go, you're doing it. I was like,
I feel like that helps.
So I would just, like, move a little bit and be like, am I still offsides? Yes. I'd move a little bit more. Am I still offsides? No. Okay, this works. Like, I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, that happened to me a lot too, doing sports.
Yeah, but, like, with baseball, it's straightforward. You hit the ball, you go to the base. If the ball is at the base before you are, you're out. Like, it's not complex. And so
also similar to the sport known as kickball.
Yes. No, so it's one of those movies that I watched as a little kid, and it still like makes me smile. My dad and I quote it often. You're killing me, Smalls. Can be heard thrown around my house often. I think I have on my laptop. Oh, you play ball like a girl.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know me, my laptop is completely covered in stickers from movies and TV shows that I enjoy. And I have one that's from The Sandlot that says you play ball like a girl. So that was my palate cleanser to get the whole horror movies out of my mind.
Seemed like a perfect choice.
Right? But I was doing some research on it, and I found something really funny and kind of interesting. So the movie came out in 1993. In 1998, the director and writer of the movie was sued by a former classmate of his, claimed that the character of Squints was based off him. Not the main character, but one of the side characters who's just a nerdy little dude with glasses. He's called Squints. But he claimed that the character was derogatory and caused him shame and humiliation, so he sued the writer-director David Mickey Evans about that character. He was like, that character should never have been included. You based it off me. Took him to court over.
Arrogant to me.
Yeah. Like we talked about in class, if I dated a celebrity and they wrote a movie about me, even if they made me in a bad light, like I'm still in a movie, basically.
Living your best life.
If they wrote a song about me, even if the song was like, hey, you're the worst person, as long as it wasn't like actually wrong. No, like as long as
I know what you mean, but the way you said it, I was like,
but like as long as they weren't like, oh, Mackenzie, you're a giant racist. I don't think you're a bad person. Like, I think I'd be like, okay, you still wrote a song about me. Does that make sense?
No,
or am I
does,
weird?
But your explanation is killing me.
I wouldn't want to be called a racist by Taylor Swift. I'd feel terrible about myself.
I mean, yeah.
See? Yeah, so he took him to court, and the court sided with the filmmakers, and they told him basically like, nope, you can't prove this is you just because you wore glasses in elementary school. Are you kidding?
See, that's like the center of the universe mentality there. He's like, the universe centers around me.
I think they were childhood classmates, so you could probably argue like,
oh yeah, but I'm just like,
he did base it off kids he knew from his life, but to then go and be mad about it, because Squints like is a pretty non-threatening character. Like he's not,
yeah.
I mean, he does some like creepy stuff, but all 13-year-old boys are creepy. Like that's just who they are as people. They're still learning how to act like people at that point. So they're just awful and creepy. So are 13-year-old girls, but they're just vicious. They're just mean.
What grade is 13 again? I think the
8th grade, going into like high
remembering
school.
Me at 13 even, I was like,
13-year-old me was awful. I feel like I'm safe in saying that fact. Like 13-year-old me, like I wouldn't be friends with 13-year-old me.
Oh, I wouldn't either. Not you, but like 13-year-old me.
No, you wouldn't be friends with 13-year-old me either. She was angry and sad and lashed out at people. I was really into kicking for some reason. I don't know why,
That's
but
so random.
when
That
I was
reminds me of
13,
that
I used to
iCarly-
kick people in like their shins whenever I got annoyed.
Oh God, why did that remind me of that iCarly episode? It was like, I'm feeling stabby.
Yeah, that's basically what I was.
I'm feeling kicky.
Talk smack, get kicked in the shins. I think in the movie they're set in like middle school, so I think they're like
Okay.
12 to 9. That's middle school. I don't know.
12 to 9 years old?
12 to like 10. That's how old
I think I'm getting confused because you're going like
10 to 12.
Like,
so 6th grade you would be like 10-ish.
Yeah.
To like 12, 13 when
I have
you
like
leave
the
middle
worst
school.
childhood memory, so I'm trying to relate it to myself and it's not working.
Yeah, but so I think they're around like 12, 13-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just kids, like being kids.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to be that mad about having Squints be based off him, you probably were a gross person at 12. So like get over it.
Yeah.
But so that was my palate cleanser. It was great. I had a good giggle. It was...
I haven't heard the word giggle out loud.
Don't make fun of me for using the word giggle. So that's available on Hulu. It's also available on Prime if you want to pay for it.
Am I wrong?
The second one is, the first one is not. I think they're
Okay.
fighting about it.
Oh,
but it's available on
interesting.
Stars, which is where I watched it, alongside with The Maze Runners.
Oh, okay. I still gotta watch.
Well, if you ever want someone to watch them with you.
So for this week, we're going to talk about Knives Out, which we watched together when it came out in 2019 in theaters. We both love this movie, and Mackenzie will go into it a little further.
So Knives Out was directed by Rian Johnson, and it came out in November of 2019. It stars Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Ana de Armas, Toni Collette, Lakeith Stanfield, and a lot of other huge names.
Yeah, the cast was great.
Oh, the cast was amazing. Like, I knew the movie. We've talked about this before. Of
When you see a cast like that, you're like, it has to
the
be
movie.
good.
I knew the movie was gonna be good.
I purely saw it for Chris Evans, but I think you knew that.
And his sweaters. Oh, those sweaters. No, but like the movie already on its own looked good, but with that star-studded of a cast, it's almost hard for the movie to be
A failure.
really bad.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have crazy talent and have like a movie be like terrible.
It's true.
So the plot of the movie is there's a big family. I think it's the main character, or not the main character, Harlan Bromby invites the whole family over for his birthday, and the next day he's found dead in his house, and now they're trying to figure out who could have had a hand in his death, because it's ruled that it probably wasn't a
Natural
suicide
causes.
or natural causes. So they're trying to figure out who actually, like, who was involved. So Daniel Craig plays very southern detective called Benoit Blanc with the weirdest accent. Yeah, so he's brought in mysteriously. They don't know why he's there, but he was brought in to investigate the case. Harlan's entire family is brought back and they're all questioned, and his staff is questioned too. One of them is his right hand. She's with him all the time, and they're trying to figure out who could have done this. It was really interesting. There was a plot inside a plot inside a plot where every time you thought something was solved, it ended up just adding like 14 more questions to it.
Yeah, it truly did. I thought that I liked that. It was very unpredictable, and I feel like a lot of these mystery movies seem predictable to me.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed that I wasn't able to figure it out myself. I had
Yes.
to continue watching and watch as the movie progressed.
Liked
Going
that.
off of Daniel Craig's accent,
Yes.
I think that scene was hilarious where he was talking about donuts.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was just like, what is
plot.
he doing?
He was like, there's a donut hole, and then there's a hole in the donut hole, and I felt like I had taken drugs at that point.
Yeah, I was like, he's talking about donuts, right? And then I was like, yeah, he is.
He's truly just going on about donuts in his weird southern accent. I think he was supposed to be from like New Orleans or something.
Yeah.
So he had that like twang, which made him hard to follow a little bit in some points.
No, I think he was always wearing tweed too.
Yeah, he was something else.
He was.
I want to know how, if it's possible, but there's a huge point in the movie that's made towards Ana de Armas' character that if she lies,
I was just about to talk about this too.
she
I thought it was
throws up.
interesting. Yeah.
So it's a big point in the movie that is talked about often. I wonder if that's possible. Is that like a thing? Can you actually, I know people talk about like, oh, if I lie, my stomach hurts, but also grow up, learn how to lie better.
So you would like people to lie to you more?
Sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to hear your nonsense.
Like for me, my stomach doesn't hurt. I feel like gross and slimy because I'm like, ooh, that's a lie.
About every lie?
No. You know I suck at lying in the first place.
Yes, you do.
So I typically don't, but I'm sure there's people out there, if people's stomach hurts, just elevate that a little further and just throw it up.
Yeah, it was gross. Going back to the donut scene, I was looking at trivia on IMDb. Rian Johnson contemplated cutting that whole scene.
Really?
The whole donut speech. He was like, I don't think we need it.
It probably seemed too frivolous for the movie at that point. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
but Daniel Craig was like, no, we got to keep this scene. And after seeing Daniel Craig doing it, he kept it. I don't know. I just thought it was funny that as we were talking about it.
I don't know. That was like such an odd moment in the movie that stuck for me because I'm like, okay, Daniel Craig talking about donuts.
Here he
What you
goes,
gotta do.
just talking about donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's one of those movies that like I feel like could be rewatched, and every time you rewatch it,
You
something
pick up on
else.
more tiny details. I feel like that would happen for me because I haven't watched it in a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Even though it came out in 2019.
It's been a decent chunk of time.
Yeah, I would love to go back and rewatch it. That's definitely like, I
It's
feel like everyone
available
has movies they
on-
want to watch and rewatch. That's probably on my rewatch for sure.
It's available on Amazon Prime.
Do you
Oh,
have-
just Chris Evans' character.
I don't want to. He was always eating those Biscoff cookies too.
Yeah. I thought the funniest part was the fact that they had to get Chris Evans to pretend he didn't like dogs.
That was probably so hard.
He was struggling. You could see it in his eyes.
Have
He
you
was
seen that
heartbroken.
behind the scenes video where do you know when they first introduced him as a character? But anyway, I had him shooing away the dogs
Yeah.
as his character Ransom, and then after that shot finished, he's playing with them immediately, and I
Oh,
thought
of
that
course.
was so cute.
Also, I like that none of the characters are likable.
Yeah, because it almost makes you, when you watch a murder mystery type movie, and you're like,
You're
oh,
rooting
no,
for someone.
Yeah, you're like, I like them, they're innocent. why are they thinking it's them? But you're like, nah, who is it? For me, I
It's
actually
all
liked
of them.
Marta a lot.
I did, but they set her up as the, I don't want to use the word villain, but you know what I mean? Like in the beginning of the movie, they set her up.
Participant in the death.
Yes. So they set her up as the participant. So she's not innocent, but
Yeah.
you are rooting for her as the one who's the best of everyone in the room.
Yeah, I liked her character, I guess, because, they're all rich and entitled, and she's not, and I guess that was more likable to me.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're all wearing, like, their little cable knit sweaters, or whatever. No, I like the sweaters.
I did like the sweaters, I just hated them.
Yeah, that's the only outfit that immediately came to mind as for anyone else.
Yes.
But, no, I liked her character a lot. I thought it was interesting 'cause she's the only one who's an there's some of them, like the younger kid is kind of an outcast as well.
Yeah, but he's also a Nazi.
Okay, true.
That was like a huge plot point for him, is he's like on those like white supremacist subreddits and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's an outcast, but it's his own fault. So I don't feel bad for him.
But I was saying, like, I guess he would also fit the bill a little bit. But I would say Marta, definitely, which I don't know. I always like the outcasts more.
But she comes from a genuine, like, good place, whereas the rest of them are outcasts because they're garbage people.
I mean,
and
that's
it's
a good
nice
point, too.
seeing, I feel like in real life,
the mug scene at the end, I was like, get him, Marta. Get
But, like, I feel like in real life, especially, you rarely see bad people get their comeuppance. They usually get away with a lot of stuff, especially if they have money.
It's true.
So it was really nice in the movie to see all of the terrible characters get what they deserve a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So it made it more fun. So luckily, Knives Out leads us directly into our genre of the week, which is crime. So we each have a couple movies we want to talk about in the genre of crime. There are obviously a lot of ones we're leaving out because we feel like they fall into other categories as well. Like the Godfather movies are absolutely crime movies, but they also fall into the category of gangster movies, which we will talk about at some point during this podcast.
Yes. We are also fans of gangster movies, so do not worry.
So those will be their own separate genre. We don't want it to seem like we're just ignoring a bunch of them.
We would never.
We are aware of all of the different genre of crime movies. We just couldn't fit them all into one category.
Yeah,
it would be unfair.
We had to do little smaller subcategories within the genre itself.
So, Chloe, would you like to talk about one of your crime movies first?
So first I'll be talking about Snowden, which was directed by Oliver Stone and came out in 2016, which is currently not on anything for free, but you can rent or purchase it on Amazon Prime. Snowden is based on a real person, Edward Snowden, who is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he's a contractor for the NSA. He faces a moral dilemma of what to do when he sees the intelligence community tracking digital communication on Americans, so, through your phones, things like that. And Snowden, sees all of this and is like, what do I do about it? Because he sees that as wrong, but, it's your job to keep everything classified. And he decides to leak all this classified information by the NSA because he sees it as so wrong that the American people deserve to know about it. And I just thought I'd take a minute to say that it's very controversial, his actions. There's no right or wrong way of seeing it. People see him as a traitor. Some people see him as a hero, which I thought the movie did a good job in
showing both sides, not just.
I think they showed how it could be his actions could be taken as him being a traitor or a hero. But I think the film, when I was watching it, I try to keep, especially when it's more crime and things that are more up to the audience, I think it kind of had more of bias that they think he's a hero.
Interesting.
So I thought that was interesting that it wasn't completely obvious, but I feel like if they really thought he was a traitor, they would have shown him in a worse light.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna expose myself for being a idiot right now.
What?
Is Snowden the guy that's been hiding out in an embassy in
Russia?
Is he in Russia? Is he alive still?
Yeah, actually there's talks that he's trying to come back.
Oh, interesting.
Which, I don't know why.
Who's the one that just got kicked out of an embassy, a couple years ago or something for being, a jerk?
I'm not quite sure. I haven't been tracking Snowden. Oh.
Is that a person?
Oh, from WikiLeaks?
Yeah. Okay, that's two separate things. My bad. Continue.
Oh, sorry. I learned about all this in my class.
That's why I'm asking
you. So that's why I was like, oh, Julian Assange? I was like, know him. Edward Snowden, the whole gang.
That's why I'm asking you, is because you won't judge me for being dumb, but I can ask you the questions that are dumb.
No, because I love things that are seen in gray.
Yes.
And so when I learned about Edward Snowden in class, I was like, ooh, is he right? Is he wrong? Ooh. But I don't think I need to take my own stance on it now, but
you frustrate me sometimes because I see a lot of things as very black and white. Like, this is right and this is wrong.
For me,
And
I'm
you
like,
operate in that gray area. And I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, just agree with me. You're like, but what about? No. Just agree.
I don't know. I think too much. But in terms of the movie, I think as they wanted you to see him as a hero,
Yeah.
which, I mean, there's plenty of people that don't see him that way, but they had some time based on him and his relationship with his wife as well, which I think tried to humanize him a little bit.
Okay.
So he came across as, not leaking classified information.
So when you say leaked classified information, what was the problem? I'm sorry. Run it by me one more time. Without, I mean...
to me, I don't think this can be spoiled.
No, but I mean, I don't want to make it super complex.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to...
Okay.
You don't have to write me an essay like I'm a professor.
No, I actually know a lot about this from class, but so basically, do you know what the NSA does as an organization? But there's like the different branches of the intelligence community. Yeah. The NSA deals with signals intelligence, meaning that they deal with more electronic signals, things like that, so more technology focused.
Okay.
So, you know how there's that joke where you're... FBI agents looking at you through your phone or whatever.
Yep.
So that if you joked about it, that's kind of more incorrect. It'd be your NSA agent.
Ah.
If you want to be factual about it.
Of course.
But basically...
I'm going to start correcting people on that when I see it on like Twitter and stuff. Be
dude,
like,
all
sorry,
my
it's
classes,
your NSA agent.
I love watching like these spy movies. I'm like, false. I feel
not
so
how that
smart.
Works.
But anyway, going back to the film.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So basically, I mean, this was a little while ago. I feel like, again, with the joke, people know about it now because it got leaked. But at that point, nobody knew about it.
Yep.
And he was like, I don't see this as right. They're tracking all of us, not just those deemed as terrorists or people we need to keep watch of. It's just everybody.
Yep.
And so he decides to leak the information. Do you know how it was leaked? Should I go into that?
I have no clue, so...
Okay, so basically, I want to say it's China or Japan he went to. Mm-hmm. So he didn't even do this out of the country. He met with people from The Guardian and worked with them to release an article and gave them the information. So it was a release through journalism.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So they had a little bit of that when meeting the Guardian people as well.
Okay.
But it kind of focused more on him as an individual, why he wanted to work in intelligence. Like, he's a very smart guy, obviously, if you're working for the NSA, and his relationship with his wife while they were living in Hawaii.
Oh, very nice.
Do you want to go into your film, Nick?
Yeah, so for my first film, I talked about Baby Driver, which I love, but I feel guilty about loving, because
putting that aside, I love it as well.
Yeah, if they redid it completely the same with a whole new cast of people who weren't accused of being gross human beings, I would absolutely go see it again. But Baby Driver came out in June of 2017. It was directed by Edgar Wright. It stars Ansel Elgort, John Bertham, John Hamm, Kevin Spacey, Lily James, Jamie Foxx. The last person is Isa Gonzalez. So the plot of Baby Driver is it follows Baby, who is a driver for a...
Oh my god, that's like the title of the movie.
Baby, who is Ansel Elgort, is the getaway driver for a ring of bank robbers. He is hearing impaired, so he's constantly got music playing, which leads to really well done soundtrack as he performs these crazy stunts as getaway driver. It's realized that he has been recording parts of the meetings to make his own song track, and they're told that's not, he gets found out, he's told that's not allowed, and they give him 2 more big drives he has to do, and then he's free. Except for the newer people they're bringing in for these last 2 heists are incredibly violent and not very stable. Jamie Foxx's character especially is
he did that creepy smile thing, and I'm like, stop.
He's got crazy eyes the whole movie.
Totally has the crazy eyes.
So as he's getting ready to leave the gang, he's fallen in love with Lily James's character, Deborah, and he's he wants out. He wants to be able to be with her and be with her normally. He's given his last 2 drives, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and he's now trying to get out of this life as safely as possible without, dying himself. But the soundtrack is
great.
Awesome. Chloe and I were talking the other day, and I gave her what she said was one of the greatest compliments ever, which was I would trust her to be my getaway driver if I ever had to commit a crime. But the only problem is that I think she would do the exact same thing. as Baby does in the movie, which is, hold on, we have to get to the good part of the song before I can leave.
I would.
Just wait, the drop is coming and then we can go. Chloe, we have to leave now. The cops are pulling up. No, just wait.
But I don't know if you remember this character. I love the old man he lives with.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
he's so sweet with the little, take the crusts off my peanut butter and jellies.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
I was
think
so
their
worried about
relationship is
him.
so sweet.
I was so worried about him when like the gang started like really hating Baby. I was so worried about the old man. I was like, what
I know. I just thought
I
their
want him to be
relationship was
safe.
really sweet. I really enjoyed it. And how aggressive he was about making sure his sandwich was made right.
I agree, though. You make my sandwich wrong. What's the point? Yeah, so that was one of those. It definitely falls under crime. It's an action movie. It's one of my favorites. I wish I could go and rewatch it, but I feel guilty about going and rewatching it because most of the characters in there have been accused of something.
I mean,
That
yeah.
makes me feel gross.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of that, but we do what we have to do. So, Chloe, would you like to talk about another one of your movies?
I would love to.
What you got? Hit me.
So my next movie is Nightcrawler, which is directed by Dan Gilroy, and it came out in 2014, and it's currently on Netflix. And I mean, we've also both seen this movie
Yes.
as well, but I will talk about it more. And the film centers around Jake Gyllenhaal's character, named Lou Bloom, who is in search of a job and winds up creating a position of his own in the city of Los Angeles, specifically in crime journalism. He starts to get into crime scenes as soon as they're reported, so he can try to beat the news channels' coverage so he can have them pay for their footage. And as the movie progresses, Lou becomes a little, I guess you could say, aggressive in how involved he wants to be and starts to become more participatory in those stories than just reporting them and observing them.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's character from like the beginning of the movie is just so
Just physically, like,
greasy.
yeah, he's got greasy hair. He lost weight for that movie. I think his voice is a little different.
Yeah.
It's a little weaselly in my opinion, but
Like, he looks like a dude. If I saw him like, normally Jake Gyllenhaal is someone who seems slightly approachable. If I saw this version of Jake Gyllenhaal walking down the street, I would have like crossed to the other side of the street immediately. Like, he just looks like he's gonna try and steal my wallet. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, it's a good.
No, but the movie is really well done. It takes place in California.
Los Angeles.
That's in California. I was correct. He's weird. He's greasy looking the whole movie. He's like slowly coming more and more unhinged.
Yeah, in the beginning, he's really desperate for a job before he decides to go. I don't know if you could call it an industry.
Yeah.
This little section of the news, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he uses this quote a couple times where he says, "My motto is, if you want to win the lottery, you have to make the money to buy a ticket."
Yep.
Which I thought was just kind of interesting, and all the employers he's interviewing with are just like, yeah, that means nothing to me.
Get out of my face, bro. No, I mean, it is an industry. Like, in media, that's a thing. You pay for B-roll shots.
Yeah, but I mean, there's that scene where you just see him, like, constantly typing and, like, titling all these clips he got because he's been going at it so fast with, his little sidekick in the car. And he's, like, trying to get there as soon as possible because he has a little rival who also is doing the same thing, who inspired him to do what he's doing. And then his rival ends up going, like, hey, do you want to work for us? And he's like, no, I've just gotten so good, I can do it on my own. And you're like,
All by myself.
wow, that's not self-centered at all.
Nope. The way normal people act.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in it for me and me alone. I almost wanted the movie to be like a horror film because it would have made me feel better about how gross I felt at the end of the movie.
I kind of liked how it was slow, though, because it made you really understand how uncomfortable of a character he was, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, he was just slowly going, I don't want to say insane, because he didn't actually lose his mind, but this just took over his life, just reporting all of this. Like, I mean, I imagine most people have seen this, but I'll try to keep it as general as possible. But there's one scene where his sidekick is I'll say a little hurt.
Yes.
And he's just getting the footage, and it's like, dude, help him out. And he's like, no, this would be great money, or like, and it just like shows his greed and where his priorities lie instead of, I don't know, his friend.
Who, like, the person that works with him? Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like, for me, it was more like how he thought and where his priorities lie, where I was like, ooh, that's what made me more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I thought it was like good that it was kind of a slow burn movie to see that unravel for him.
No, I did enjoy that part. It was just more of the
categorizing it as one.
No, I like that it was a crime drama. I wanted a better explanation about why he was a horrible person, and him being like possessed by a demon would have given me the explanation I wanted, other than, oh, people are just sometimes really awful people. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think that goes back to us talking about black and white and gray. I'm like, I like there's no reason. You know what I mean?
I like a reason. I like a clear answer.
We're so different.
But even then, like, I like art and I like poetry because it can be my answer, and my answer is no more right than your answer.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like that I can have my own definitive answer of this is what it is.
Like if you had like childhood trauma or something that would help you out. I was trying
Like
to
they
understand.
explained, like, oh, as a kid, he had this thing happen to him, and that's why blood doesn't freak him out, and he really likes watching things die. And you're like,
Oh my God. That example, I was like,
that
whoa.
makes sense. I get it now.
No, I understand, but for me, I don't like when there's always a reason. I'm like, people can just suck.
Yes.
And I like that it also, but for me, like, I enjoy when movies don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. It just depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah, a demon movie with this one. Jake Gyllenhaal secretly. Demon.
A demon. No, but you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
no,
it makes it make sense.
Yeah.
So for my second movie, I want to talk about a classic again. We're going to talk about an older movie, which is Pulp Fiction.
I haven't heard of that one. I'm totally kidding. Could you imagine if I've never heard of it?
I don't think we'd be friends right now.
Oh, man. That actually kind of hurt to say.
That you've never heard of it? Yeah. So Pulp Fiction came out in October of 1994, and it is available to watch on Hulu with a premium subscription, whatever that means. You can buy it on Amazon Prime, or it can be watched on Starz. It was written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, who's a favorite on this podcast. And it stars John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, and Uma Thurman, alongside people like Bruce Willis as well. So the story of Pulp Fiction is Jules Winifred, played by Samuel L. Jackson, and Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta, are two hitmen who work for the mob boss Marcellus Wallace. And they're sent out to retrieve a suitcase stolen from Marcellus. And along the way, Vincent is told to take care of Marcellus Wallace's wife, Mia, played by Uma Thurman, for a few days while Wallace is out of town. So there's a bunch of different stories happening sort of all at once. Bruce Willis is in it as Butch Coolidge, who's a boxer who is paid by Marcellus Wallace to throw his fight. And you watch as all these stories sort of intersect and meet with one another. It's one of those movies. Tarantino's in it for a hot second.
Yeah, no cameo.
Just to be gross. I don't know. His whole character was weird to me. He was in like a robe the whole time. I was like, put some pants on, bro. Like. Yeah. This is slightly off topic, but it is about Tarantino. Did you see the posters they did for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? It's him, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Brad Pitt. But for some reason, no, it's them. But for some reason, they're posing Tarantino like he's the hot guy in the film. Like
they're wrong, though.
Like they've got a convertible and they've got DiCaprio and Pitt in the front seat, and they've got Tarantino splayed out in the back seat.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
And you're like, no, that's not the focus, dude. Zoom in on the front seat. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I just saw that recently. Someone sent that to me, and it made me really laugh. No, but you and I have both seen Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. You and I both quote Pulp Fiction. There's one specific scene, but we can't really do the quotes because it's a lot of cursing.
It's very true. It's a lot of the movie, too.
It's a lot of the movie. Samuel L. Jackson does an awesome job. I could watch him scream for hours.
He's got the crazy eyes in a lot of scenes, too.
True. Uma Thurman plays the wife of Marcellus Wallace. She plays Mia Wallace, and she's just she does a great job with what I think she's only on the screen for like
not very long,
but she does a great job. She's easily one of the most memorable characters.
Yeah, I see like every year somebody dresses up for her as Halloween.
Oh, absolutely,
for sure.
It's also a super easy costume: black pants, white shirt, black wig.
Done.
done. I mean, unless you want to go in depth and do like the scene where she's overdosing and like.
I have seen that too.
So I was looking up some history and trivia for it. The F word is said 265 times in that movie.
Okay, look. I've seen it, and I know they swear a lot. I had no idea it was over 200 times.
265.
I feel
almost
like that's
as
just
much as I swear in a regular day. No, it was just looking up the trivia. It was super interesting. One of the other things was this was one of the first movies to use the internet for advertising.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Now, like, that's a thing that's just expected.
Yeah.
Every movie that's ever been made creates an Instagram account for it to, like, post about.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
But, you know, the internet was still relatively young, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
I wasn't alive, so I wouldn't know. But, so the fact that this was one of the first movies ever to, like, use that and just be like, yep, we're going to advertise our whole movie and make it easy for everyone to see.
Yeah, why not?
I thought that was interesting. The whole scene where they're sitting in the car talking about McDonald's. It's called El Royale with cheese. The reason I bring that line up is that movie's line was voted number 81 of 100 greatest movie lines in 2007.
I'm surprised it's only 81. I thought it would be higher than that.
I bet one of the other ones is higher up. Like, I'm sure that whole scene where they're...
Oh, the Bible quote?
Yeah, I'm sure that's on that list too.
Oh, sure. Like, I feel like Pulp Fiction is one of the most quotable movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, my dad and I quote that movie often, the specific scenes that obviously I can't really talk about on the podcast because I don't want to get in trouble for cursing too much or at all.
That movie has, like, barely any cursing in it.
Only 265 F words.
Only.
And then my dad and I obviously quote The Big Lebowski, which when we do comedy, I will talk about a lot more. So we're going to wrap up now. Just to go over the movies we talked about today. We talked about End of Watch, which is available on Netflix. We talked about The Sandlot, which is available on Starz. Knives Out, which is available on Amazon Prime. Nightcrawler, which is on Netflix. Snowden, which is available to rent or purchase on Prime. Baby Driver, which is available to rent or purchase on Prime. And Pulp Fiction, which is available on Hulu Premium and Amazon Prime or Starz. Next week, we're going to be talking about rom-coms to give a little bit more of a palate cleanser from horror and
crime.
We're going to do something fun, a little upbeat. Chloe's going to have to do some research here.
Hey, I've seen plenty.
Have you seen them or have you just like had them on in the background?
You got me there.
So she's going to do some research. I'll make her watch some old ones. We'll go back in time, watch A Walk to Remember.
Oh my God, we're going to walk back in time. Or we're not. I hate myself.
A Walk to Remember.
Chloe's seen it.
How about The Notebook?
Seen.
Damn, look at you. Okay, so you're good. Once again, we'd like to remind you, we're the Film Society. Thanks for listening. It's a pandemic. You shouldn't be going out. So grab some popcorn, some friends, and watch some movies on the couch. Right, Chloe?
Right, Mackenzie.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.